I've been a handyman for over 5 years. Now it's not the most glamorous job, but it pays the bills. I've fixed everything from broken faucets to leaky roofs. My workday is usually the same: go to the job, fix what needs fixing, and get paid. Easy. No drama. But today was different. I got a call early in the morning from a woman named Lila. She needed help with a door that wasn't fitting into its frame properly. Nothing major, she said. Just a simple fix. The pay was good, $1,600 for an hour or so of work. For a guy like me, that was more than enough to get through the week, so of course I said yes. I drove across town to her address, which turned out to be in a much nicer part of the city than I was used to. Big houses, neatly manicured lawns, and expensive cars lined the streets. I parked in her driveway and took a moment to collect myself before ringing the doorbell. When the door opened, I wasn't prepared for what I saw. Standing in front of me was Lila, and she was stunning. She looked like she had stepped straight out of a magazine. Tall, blonde, with sharp features that could belong to a model. I wasn't used to seeing women like her in my line of work. "Hi, Edward," she said with a warm smile, already knowing who I was. "Thanks for coming." "Of course," I replied, trying not to seem too flustered. "Where's the door?" She led me down the hallway to the door in question. It was a standard wooden door that had shifted slightly, causing it to misalign with the frame. Nothing complicated. I bent down to take a closer look, feeling more at ease now that I was focused on the work. "Yeah, this will be a quick fix," I said. "I just need to adjust the frame a bit, maybe shave down the door slightly. Should take about an hour, maybe an hour and a half." She nodded. "Perfect. I'm in no rush." I got to work right away. It was a straightforward job, something I had done 100 times before. But as I worked, I couldn't help but notice how calm and collected she was. She didn't seem like the kind of person who needed a handyman at all. Everything about her screamed wealth and sophistication. I finished sooner than expected, making sure everything was aligned perfectly. After tightening the last screw and checking the door one final time, I wiped my hands on my jeans. "Finished," I said, wiping the sweat from my forehead. "The door should be good now." She walked over and gave the door a gentle push, testing it. "It's perfect. Thank you so much." I felt the usual sense of pride in my work, but then she did something that caught me completely off guard. She reached into her wallet and pulled out a $100 bill. "Here," she said, handing me the money. "For your trouble. You were so quick, and the door is as good as new." I was a little surprised. A tip wasn't uncommon, but the way she did it, so natural, so casual, felt different. Most customers just paid and moved on. But then she added something unexpected. "Actually," she said, her tone shifting slightly, "I was wondering if you might want to stick around for a bit. Maybe get some coffee or dinner. I don't have any plans tonight, and honestly, I could use the company." I froze. I mean, who wouldn't? I was just a handyman, I fixed things. Women like Lila didn't invite guys like me to spend time with them, especially not after a few minutes of fixing a door. I stammered, unsure of how to respond. I looked at her, trying to figure out if she was serious or just being polite. She must have noticed my hesitation because she quickly added, "I know this is probably a weird request, but to be honest, things have been kind of boring lately. I haven't had any excitement, any adventure." And I thought, why not? "You seem like an interesting guy, and I thought maybe we could spend the evening together. I promise I'm not asking for anything weird. I don't know, I could use a bit of fun." I didn't know what to think. It was completely unexpected, and I wasn't sure if I should feel flattered or confused. I was just a guy fixing a door, right? But the idea of spending time with someone like her, someone so clearly out of my league, was, to put it bluntly, intriguing. "All right," I said, trying to act casual. "I guess I don't have any plans." "Why not?" She smiled brightly, as if she had been waiting for me to say yes. "Great. I have an idea. There's a spot up on the hill where you can see the whole city. It's perfect for a little getaway. I'll grab a picnic basket and we can head there." I was still processing everything, but I figured, why not go with the flow? Life's too short not to take chances, right? "I'll go get changed," I said, heading toward the door. "I'll meet you in a bit." She nodded, her smile never fading. "I'll be waiting." As I drove back home to change, I had no idea what to expect. But for the first time in a long time, I felt a spark of excitement. I wasn't sure where this night would lead, but something told me it was going to be unlike anything I had ever experienced before. Enjoyed the calm around us. The soft hum of nature filled the air, and for a moment, It was just the two of us, sitting side by side, not needing to fill the silence with words. Lila looked over at me, her eyes soft, almost pensive. "I've always liked places like this," she said, her voice carrying a certain fondness. "They remind me to slow down, to just be present. Life can get so chaotic sometimes, you know?" I nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. In the hustle of everyday life, it was easy to forget how important it was to pause, take a breath, and appreciate the simple moments. "Yeah, I get that. It's easy to lose sight of what really matters," I replied, my gaze drifting to the trees swaying in the breeze. I wasn't always the best at finding balance, but moments like this made me realize how much I needed them. She smiled, her fingers brushing against mine lightly, a simple gesture that still sent a flutter through me. It was as if she could sense my thoughts, my quiet acknowledgement of how much her company had come to mean in such a short time. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking, sharing stories, and laughing over the smallest things. Time felt like it had slowed down, and I was more present in those moments than I had been in a long time. It was clear that something had shifted between us, something unspoken but undeniable. Even though we hadn't put a label on it, I could feel the connection growing stronger with every passing minute. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, we got up and started walking toward her car. I felt a little sad that the day was ending, but I knew I'd look forward to seeing her again. "So what's next?" she asked as she started the engine, her tone playful but with a hint of curiosity. "I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out," I said with a small grin, already thinking about how nice it would be to have more days like this, where everything just felt easy. I got dressed. The anxiety still lingered in my chest, but it was mixed with anticipation. I had spent so many years just going through the motions of life, not really thinking about the bigger picture. But now, sitting on the edge of my bed wondering what to wear for a simple dinner, I realized how much had changed. Lila had become more than just a woman I spent time with. She had become someone I couldn't stop thinking about. Someone who seemed to pull me out of my shell and make me question everything I thought I knew about life and relationships. I picked a simple shirt and jeans, wanting to look good without overthinking it. I didn't need to be perfect, I just needed to be myself. Still, there was that nagging thought in the back of my mind. What if this was all just a fleeting moment for her? What if I was just part of her temporary escape, someone to pass the time with while she figured out whatever she was really searching for? Shaking off the uncertainty, I grabbed my keys and headed out. The drive to meet her was shorter than I realized, but my mind was racing the entire way. When I pulled up to the restaurant, I spotted her almost immediately, standing outside looking effortlessly beautiful as usual. She wore a soft, flowy dress that made her look like she belonged in a dream, and my heart did that familiar skip in my chest. It was hard not to be drawn to her, not to be captivated by her presence. I walked toward her, trying to keep my composure. "Hey," I greeted, offering a small but genuine smile. She returned it, her eyes soft and warm. "Hi," she said, stepping closer. "You look great." "Thanks," I replied, feeling the nerves creeping back again. "You too." We headed inside and were soon seated at a cozy table in the corner, the dim lighting creating an intimate atmosphere. The conversation started off easy, just casual talk at first. But there was an underlying tension, a sense that we both knew this dinner wasn't just about food or small talk. It was about something deeper, something we'd both been avoiding but couldn't push aside forever. "So," she started, setting her fork down gently and looking at me with those soft eyes of hers. "We've been spending time together and I just want to know, what are you looking for, Edward?" I blinked, surprised at how direct she was. But I knew this conversation had to happen. The last few days had been a whirlwind of emotions, and I couldn't keep pretending that I wasn't thinking about where this was all going. "I don't know," I said, trying to find the right words. "I guess I've been trying to figure it out too. But I know one thing for sure. I want something real. Something that doesn't feel like just another passing moment. I'm tired of the same routine, tired of just going through the motions. I want something that makes me feel alive. And I think you're a part of that." Her gaze softened, and for a moment I thought she might say something, but instead she just nodded. "I get that," she said quietly, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've been feeling the same way. I didn't know what I was looking for, but when I met you something clicked. I want something real too. And I think I'm ready to explore what that could look like with you." The weight of her words hit me in a way I didn't expect. It was as if a door had opened, and for the first time I could see what might lie ahead. It wasn't just a fling. It wasn't just a distraction. It was something deeper, something that could turn into something beautiful if we both allowed it. I reached across the table, taking her hand in mine, a small gesture but one that felt important. "I'm glad we're on the same page," I said, my voice steady now, more certain than I had felt in days. She squeezed my hand, her eyes glinting with the same kind of certainty. "Me too," she whispered. "I don't know where this will go, but I want to find out. Together." And in that moment everything felt right. I didn't have all the answers and I didn't know where we were headed. But I knew that with Lila I was willing to find out, one step at a time. That I stood there for a moment, watching her car disappear into the night, the soft hum of the engine fading as the distance between us grew. But something had shifted, something deep inside me that I couldn't ignore. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt like I was on the verge of something that was real. Something that had the potential to mean more than just a fleeting connection. As I made my way back to my apartment, my mind was buzzing with everything that had happened that evening. The conversation we'd had wasn't just about words. It was about trust, vulnerability, and the willingness to open up to each other. There had been so much unspoken between us, but in that moment, it felt like we were on the same page, ready to see where this could go. It wasn't about rushing, it wasn't about perfect timing. It was about being willing to take the next step, whatever that might be. I got back to my place and sat down, the weight of the evening settling over me. This wasn't just some casual date anymore. This wasn't about fixing doors or being the handyman who dropped by to fix things and leave. This was about two people trying to figure out what they could be together. And for once I wasn't afraid of the unknown. I wasn't terrified of where this might go or whether I'd mess it up. I felt ready. Lila had asked for something real and I wanted that too. The idea of building something with her, taking it one step at a time, felt right. More right than anything had felt in a long time. As I lay down in bed I couldn't help but smile. The future felt uncertain, but it no longer felt like a weight pressing down on me. It felt like a possibility, an exciting one full of potential. And for the first time in a long time, I realized that maybe, just maybe, things didn't need to be perfect to be worth it. They just needed to be real. I closed my eyes, the quiet of the night surrounding me, and let myself dream of what might come next. Whatever it was, I was ready for it. And somehow I knew Lila was too.